In 2007, who butchered people? ODM. And who was the chief butcher? Ruto again. That's why he went to the ICC. But people like to wash their dirty hands on the skirts of women. I was Kibaki's agent. I didn't go to KICC with a gun. I went with my eyes and my mouth. Do you think that if Raila genuinely believed I helped steal his election, in 2007 he would have chosen me his running mate? Yeah.
Do you feel betrayed by Raila? As mother, as his running mate, do you feel betrayed?
I feel he betrayed us, but not by not giving us the whole. When there is betrayal of that magnitude, you withdraw. He has struggled for this country and sacrificed. It is just a pity that now we see him as aiding and abetting Ruto to subvert the constitution.
What has made you stand your ground? Because people say politics is a dirty game, right? Have you never felt the urge to want to be on the other side?
I think that politics is not dirty. It's the players who are dirty. You choose how to play. But those who don't know William Ruto, this is his DNA. Lies, corruption, and disdain for the lives of the people. I've worked with him and this is his DNA.
Do you get to call him? I'm assuming you have.
No.
You don't talk?
Nail by mouth. Nail by mouth. I have not talked to him since the 2022 elections.
Assuming today Kasmuel says he's going to run for president, would mother rally behind him? Would mother say, let me be your running mate, I'm ready? Would you rally behind?
I would compete with him. The Gen Z also have to understand nothing on a silver platter.
Yes.
I would have my platform, he'll have his, and he wins, I support him. Isn't it?
Yes.
That's what we do. So the Gen Z will not tell us that above a certain age we do not want. There are some young people who are equally rotten.
Hello and a warm welcome to today's episode of LNS Rebuilding Restoration Series. My name is Lynn Ngugi and today we are so happy to have such an incredible woman in studio, and honestly I could not find someone who would be able to walk us through what is happening in our country right now than the way she does. And we really need to ask ourselves, where do we go from here and why is it that we've normalized injustices in this country? And I'm about to let her introduce herself so that she can walk us through this conversation and so much more. But before I do that, of course, guys, you know, I have to say thank you so much for being incredible supporters of our work. Look at us. We are at 1 million subscribers. Actually, not one. We are at 1,020,000 plus subscribers. And you guys have done this. You have been active participants of our work. And that's why I'm really encouraged to keep bringing you these thought-provoking conversations, because I know rebuilding this nation takes you and me together. So shukran sana. And now, of course, without further ado, please allow me to let my guest in studio today introduce herself. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah, a little slow this morning, but otherwise good.
Good.
Yeah.
We are so happy to have you here.
Yeah.
I know everyone has told you we've been waiting for you here for a while. Thank you for making time. I don't take it for granted that people honestly spare their morning, their afternoons just to come and sit with us here. So karibu kwetu, karibu LNN. For the people who are maybe tuning in for the very first time, could you please introduce yourself?
Martha Karua, a senior citizen and a politician of long standing. A mother, a grandmother, and most of all, I'm me.
You are you.
Yeah.
And that's something we have to normalize, being us.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the other day we were saying, you are not you unless it's accompanied by titles, unless someone validates. Do you feel the need to be validated to be who you are?
Titles don't make me. And what makes me is what is in me. So whatever title, whatever name utambandika, I'll remain me. Yeah.
That's you, who you are. Interesting times in our nation right now.
Very sad times indeed. Yeah, when the rule of law has been thrown under the bus, and we are witnessing, I would say we are living through horror. Human life has been trivialized. We've seen people being killed, mainly young people, shot to kill, not to immobilize or anything, and shot without justification. We've seen abductions, then people turn up dead. We've seen arbitrary arrests. We've seen remains, human remains of more than 10, we don't know, God knows how many, being fished at the quarry.
Yeah.
We do not know how many bodies, more bodies are in that quarry. The authorities have no interest in retrieving, and we have seen them hurriedly claiming that they have found the killer. Can we first know how many bodies are buried in that water, even as we claim to have found the killer? Unless if someone is operating a human butchery, no one person can be able to decapitate so many bodies without neighbors discovering. And these are people not living in luxury of compounds. These are people living next door to each other. Someone to be able to decapitate all those bodies, take them in sacks to the quarry, not notice, next to a police station. Only authorities can do that. And the hurried supposed discovery that there is this man who has confessed to killing women, that was a cover-up.
You don't buy it.
Nobody does. Nobody does. Yeah, and the DCI continues to this day. They continue to abduct people. They continue with arbitrary arrests and arbitrary detentions, because even if you're arrested, if you're a known person with an address, you don't have to spend the night in the police station. If it's a bailable offense, they should give you bail to appear in court. Why, for instance, would they keep Jimmy Wanjigi overnight? They know his residence. They had camped there the other week. He's a known person. Just like he was told, come to the police station, he can also be bonded and told, meet you in court. And many, many other Kenyans, even those living in low-income areas, if they have your ID and your particulars, why would you have to spend the night in a police station? And it's not, you know, a life-threatening situation. They should learn to bail people to appear in court. And the court itself must assert itself. At one occasion, I had to go to Pangani police station. This was before the Gen Z demonstrations, to bail out members of the Mathare Social Justice Center. They were arrested in their offices, having a workshop in their offices. Why would you detain them? Just where you found them, you know their addresses.
Why would you detain them?
You can take particulars, and if you need them in court, and most of those cases, they don't take to court. And if they do, they later withdraw the charges. So it's just pure harassment.
So do you think that's what they are doing with Jimmy? Why do you think Jimmy Wanjigi is a person of interest
Whether
right now?
it's Jimmy or anybody else, it's the same script. Whether high profile or low profile, same script. Harassment, anybody who dares express themselves against the regime, especially those who are ready to come out and give the Gen Z moral support in their demonstrations, because Jimmy became a person of interest because of Nane Nane. And by the way, I was in town on Nane Nane.
We saw you.
And there was an order to arrest, but a border got me out. In time.
A border got you out.
And you see, there weren't even many people in town. Why would it be an offense that I'm in town? This is a regime that is so frightened of its people, which means they're aware they have no legitimacy. Otherwise, why would you be so afraid of people? I've seen in Tanzania, the Maasais have been demonstrating violation of their rights and taking away of their land. You have not had any death in Tanzania, which is next door. They are just out with green twigs, you know, standing, you know. Why wouldn't this regime tolerate people exercising their rights to protest,
What do
to
you
say
think?
they are not happy.
What do you think they are scared of?
You know, when the Gen Z came out and it became a countrywide movement, they were scared. But as a senior citizen, I'm just wondering, did we as Kenyans do what we were required to do to protect the Gen Z? Once the killings happened on the 25th, then all of us had the screams of the Gen Z who were out. What would you do as a parent if you had a scream outside of your children and you know they've been attacked? Or your brother or your sister, what would you do?
You go out and
you would go out
them.
without caring whether you too get attacked. We ought to have been 26th, ought to have been national day for everybody to come out in protest. Instead, we stayed in our comfort zones. We must ask ourselves, those were screams of our children, our brothers and sisters we had. That was their blood, our blood.
Do you think the nation failed?
And the blood was calling us. We failed to respond. There was no serious national outrage. We ought to have gotten out. It is not late. We must ask ourselves, what must we do so that the blood of our people is not spilled in vain, so that those matters do not go in vain? They introduced a subject we sorely need in this country: accountability. It means living under the rule of law, being accountable as is written in our constitution, answering question. The Ruto regime doesn't want to answer questions. The Gen Z did not ask for anything much. They asked for accountability, which is provided for in our constitution. Accountability about taxation policy, about the use of our money, because why do you want to take away the food from our plates? To take away education of our children? Why do you want to fleece us? Can you first account for the money we gave you? Why couldn't they meet, the Gen Z with answers? Yes, he withdrew the finance bill surreptitiously. It is back, starting with the fuel levy and with several other moves. And we are now hearing Bandi saying that they'll take some sections and bring it back. Yet the people are saying, withdraw it, not amend. So that was just the purported withdrawal was a pacifier. The way you throw an empty thing to a child to keep sucking, and they're sucking air. They may sleep sucking it, wake up hungry only to start crying again. So as a nation, we were given a pacifier. I've withdrawn the finance bill. I have sacked my cabinet. Then he returns, the very same people, gets others with questionable background. The vetting of the Gen Z, which I believe in more than the vetting of Parliament, the discredited Parliament, found almost 100% of his cabinet not suitable. You see? So he cannot tell us anything has changed. And what have they done to change anything? Those in opposition who entered government, they have now soiled their hands with the blood of those who died. There is no accountability. We have not seen any police officer taken to court. Even the ones shown killing wantonly. Like there is the one who is talking to people, comes next to the car, police car, and just as he's about to enter, he just trains the gun on the people and shoots. Wanton killing. What about the one who killed outside Parliament, a young man dancing and then he's shot?
Next, we know he's gone.
What about those killed inside Parliament? How many were they? We are told 6. There are some people who say they saw more than 30 bodies inside Parliament. Shall we ever know how many people were killed? Whether it's in Githurai, whether it's in Zimmerman, whether it's in other parts of the country. Shall we ever know? In an era when they can falsify mortuary records. And this is the state falsifying. It is police who took the young man killed in the river. They enter him as an accident victim from Ruiru, therefore prolonging the agony of the parents as they look for their son. They already know he is shot. They can't find the body because they go to the mortuary, they are told, those ones there, those are accident victims. Until an insider leaks that they have gunshots and he goes and discovers his son. So how many people, in how many mortuaries have records been falsified? So if rumors has it that in Githurai, while looking for the mace, they killed more than 100, how will we be able to disprove that when records are being falsified? Whether 100, whether 50. Whether one. Human life is sacred. You cannot just kill. We've seen riots, race riots in UK. They destroyed buildings, they burned. Not a single life was lost. The police there are trained, life matters, not property. So they were able to stop those riots without having to kill. We saw it in France. At one time we saw on telly, they broke into a showroom. So there was destruction of property, there were fires, not a single shot. Are we so barbaric to our law enforcement agencies? I know not all police officers are inhuman. Who are these officers who are put into a killer squad by the Ruto regime to actually kill their brothers and sisters? Because the people they are killing are fellow Kenyans. And why would you as a police officer agree to go and butcher your own people? And you forgive me if I call William Ruto the butcher of Kenya. That's what he is. Last year in Azimio demonstrations, over 70 dead. The known ones, because we don't know whether they falsified records also last year. This year, we don't know how many, but I bet there are more than 100. What other name can we call him but Butcher of Kenya? This has to stop, and it will only stop because you and me want it to stop. Kenyans must stop fearing. Some who were killed were not even in the demonstrations. You are met going about your business, children coming from school, people in a supermarket. So even if your fear keeps you away from thinking about this, it can happen to you or to your loved one. We are called upon to save our country. Our country is gone. The republic is no more, not the way the Constitution knows it. In its place, we have a colonial, exploitative state that doesn't care about people's life, that is gleeful when taking away people's life. It is gleeful when forcing Kenyans to die of hunger. It's gleeful when civil servants, including the police, have pay slips that are in the negative. This fight is not about one person, and it's not a battle to fight an individual. It's a system that we must uproot and have a better system, a state that caters for everyone. We cannot have a state that forces us to give everything we have as taxes just for the comfort of the ruling elite. The purpose of a state is not to make the ruling elite comfortable. It's about taking care of the needs and best interests of the majority. That's what we need to restore.
Do you think the president is tone deaf? Do you think he's in denial?
He's totally tone deaf. But those who don't know William Ruto, this is his DNA. Lies, corruption, and disdain for the lives of the people. Yeah. I've worked with him, and this is his DNA. Yeah.
Do you get to call him? I'm assuming you have.
No.
You don't talk.
Nail by mouth. Nail by mouth. I have not talked to him since the 2022 elections. Yeah.
So no conversation,
not
what
at
you
all.
are doing
Not at
is wrong.
At all. We are not friends. So on what basis would I be calling him?
Are you and Raila friends? Would you
Yes.
say you're friends?
Yes.
So,
But now we are estranged by the happenings, because I can't say I'm very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes, we are estranged by the happenings, because now if we were to meet for tea, what would we talk about? You see?
how he signed a deal behind closed doors, maybe?
You see, if people do that, because this thing didn't start this year, that's what people must know. This thing started last year, and I'm starting to believe that the day Raila met Ruto with Obasanjo in Mombasa, all the deals we are seeing were made then. That's now my belief. And I believe that Raila did not tell us everything when he came back to us as Azimio principals. You remember even last year there was a rumor of nusu mukate.
Yes.
What are we seeing? Isn't it the nusu mukate?
It is.
It's the same thing, that rumor of last year. I believe even the AU plot was hatched last year in Mombasa, not this year. Look who was with him when he announced. The midwife, Obasanjo. Obasanjo is the midwife of all these deals. He did not even tell us that he was going to AU. We heard it from the press. I believe these deals were made last year. William Ruto is as cunning as a fox, if not more. And I actually had discussed with Raila. I was out of the country. I came that Saturday after the meeting on Friday. And I had talked to him on a long distance call when I saw that Ruto wanted to meet him. And I was imploring him not to go alone, to at least take 1 or 2 people with him. Principals, I meant. He went alone with Joho, Junet, and Macau. So he didn't go with any of the principals. He went alone with his own aides. I'll call them his aides.
So do you
look at what has come out eventually? I believe for a person, because he has struggled for this country and sacrificed, it is just a pity that now we see him as aiding and abetting Ruto to subvert the constitution. First of all, the going into government of 4 senior people in the hierarchy of ODM and in the hierarchy of Azimio, because Oparanya, chairman of the board. Raila's own utterances and those of his MPs that he gave Ruto experts. It means that it was a party-to-party deal, but done contrary to the law. Because the law demands that you cannot have as political parties a come-we-stay marriage. It must be through the front door, a post-election coalition. So they should be honest enough to say their party is in a coalition, have a coalition agreement, relinquish the minority seats. The design of the constitution is such that certain key committees, public accounts and public investments, each has 3 committees, so 6, total of 6 committees, ought to be chaired by a party not in government. And the standing orders say that in black and white. So when ODM has one leg in government and another leg in opposition, they're actually blocking accountability. They will not even in human nature, be able to hold to account people who are senior operatives of their party. Those seats should be occupied by a party or parties not in government, so that they can be able to do the watchdog work better. So actually, that union is a union to subvert the constitution, to undo the checks and balances that are provided for. It's not good for the country.
Do you feel betrayed by Raila? As mother, as his running mate, do you feel betrayed?
I feel he betrayed us, but not by not giving us the whole. Even when he said that he had talked, that they have talked and there will be talks. You remember at KICC? Yes. We were also seeing it from the press. But I have done, and now Kenya has done what ought to be done. When there is betrayal of that magnitude, you withdraw. You see, we have given our notice and we have nothing to do with Azimio. We do have friends who are there, who are in opposition, but it's up to them to make up their minds and ask themselves whether there is anything they are pursuing.
Okay.
Yeah, so as NAK Kenya, we have already charted our own path. Yeah.
Had he consulted, had he come to you and said, Martha?
It would have been a no. Yeah.
No dialogue.
It would have been a no. Definitely. Remember last year we had already dissociated ourselves from the NADCO report and we had said it was a useless report whose outcome does not reflect why people went to the streets. It had not addressed the needs of the people. It addressed needs of leaders. Because who was going to be leader of opposition? You don't need a title to play the role of opposition. I've actually played opposition role since 2013. You don't need a title or a salary to do that. So creating an office was not the reason people went to the streets. It's about cost of living. And cost of living is not just about food. When the cost of living is high, people don't afford the basics. They will not afford school fees. They will not afford medical. They will not afford food, housing, and all the others. Our constitution is very clear, Article 43. That for those basic needs, it's the duty of the state to ensure every Kenyan accesses them. We therefore would expect that part of our taxes is used to lower the cost of living, to take over burden of education. Look at what is happening to university education. Parents whose backs are already sagging because of weight are being given more whatever. Ruto and the people in his cabinet went to school with public funds in public universities. Almost, I would say all of them, unless there is an exception. We all went to school with public funds. We were given loans that covered tuition, accommodation, and food. That enabled children of both the rich and the poor to be the same at the university. The access was equal. And that's why William Ruto, who prides himself as a chicken seller, to go where he is. So why is he removing the ladder that he used to climb? Is he saying that no other children of people who have no financial muscle shall ever go to university or rise in this country? Are we as Kenyans going to allow our children to be denied education? Are we going to allow us to be denied our basic needs? When Article 10 gives all the residual power to the people, the Gen Z were actually exercising power pursuant to Article 1 of the Constitution. And when you are exercising that power, you don't need to go through Parliament or through the court. The numbers of people who came out at the peak of those demonstrations in 35 counties, and I believe it was in all counties, it's only that not all counties have press. That was a withdrawal of mandate for the Ruto government. So even forming cabinet is forming, knowing very well his mandate has been withdrawn. If he was an honest person, a person who respects the rights of the people and the electorate, that magnitude of people coming out to say no to his taxation policies and to all other injustices, he would have done the honorable thing and resigned. In the West, people resign. And you cannot say this is Africa. It's the same democracy, same constitution. If people come out in those numbers, don't kill them to quieten them. Exit. And don't wave to us mandate that you were given 5 years. This is not a title deed. It's a job you were given. You can be sacked at any time. And I believe he was sacked by Kenyans. And if you are sacked, you exit. And don't ask us what will happen. You are not God Almighty. You are not indispensable. Just go back home. Last year, 2022, you are telling Raila to go to Bondo. Go to Sugoi, man. Resume your chicken business. Let Kenyans get other leaders.
Go to where?
Sugoi, and resume your chicken selling.
Yes, it's doing well, by the way, in the market.
Go resume your chicken selling. Let Kenyans breathe. When you tell people you want a national dialogue and you're killing and abducting them, aren't you asking them to talk when your boot is on their necks, when they are suffocated, when they are bleeding from the gunshot wounds, when they are burying their dead? Are those people in a position to talk?
No, they're not. When
they are still searching for people who got lost, whom we don't know whether they'll be ever found alive, we're not able, Kenyans are not able to dialogue with him. The boot is on their neck. Maybe he wants to dialogue with his friends. He says it's a broad-based government. It's as broad as ODM and KK. That's how broad it is. Not every Kenyan is in ODM and KK. Just everybody else is left out. Yeah.
So it's an ODM KK affair.
Yeah. And they ought to just formalize their marriage. And holy matrimony, in political terms, is a post-coalition agreement.
So some people would argue he's a good man. He just have wrong advisors. Ruto.
Even good men resign. Yeah. When people withdraw mandate, we don't want to know how good, how bad. You are illegitimate. Yeah. And just like he kept telling Raila to go to Bondo, the road to Sugoi is also clear. Yeah.
But a lot of people say Martha is a person of integrity, right? And I don't take that lightly, especially when it comes to politics. What has made you stand your ground? Because people say politics is a dirty game, right? Have you never felt the urge to want to be on the other side?
I think that politics... It's not dirty. It's the players who are dirty. You choose how to play. And I believe that God put a moral compass in each one of us at the factory. And that little voice that questions your actions, you find hesitating and you find yourself talking to yourself, shall I or shall I not? That little voice, don't ignore it. It will always stop you just before you go into something wrong. So all of us know what is right and what is wrong. Even Ruto knows what he's doing is wrong. He just doesn't care. It's his way or the highway. But when you're managing many people, you can't manage us like it's your chicken farm. You got to go back to the rules. See whether the rules allow you what you're doing. You got to listen to the people. You are not as sovereign as in a king. In Kenya, it is not the executive nor parliament as sovereign. It is the people who are sovereign. Sovereignty belongs to the people. So where in UK the crown is the queen, the people in Kenya are both king and queen. They own the state. They donate powers and they can withdraw them. So anybody talking of 5 years, know that people have a right to withdraw mandate. And I believe Kenyans have already withdrawn mandate from Ruto and from Parliament. Remember, Parliament existed passed the finance bill when people were screaming loud that we don't want it.
Don't do it.
They were tone deaf. Same parliament passed cabinet consisting of some unsuitable people, incompetent in terms of chapter 6 of the Constitution. I would say it wasn't 100%, but quite a number. It is the same parliament that has rubber-stamped another lot. Without asking itself, if a cabinet is dismissed, not dissolved, dismissed, why do you dismiss an employee? Not for doing well.
Yes.
It's either for incompetence or for criminality, for something bad. The word dismiss, you cannot return a dismissed person. So if he wanted to return some, he should have dissolved. Then he can cherry pick whom to return, whom to. That's what Kibaki did. He dissolved cabinet in 2005.
Yeah.
So he was able to return us and leave out the ODM who had campaigned against the Constitution.
Yeah.
So there is a difference between dissolution and dismissal.
Dismissing.
Once you dismiss, you have condemned them. Yeah. So anybody who was dismissed and has been returned should know that the dismissal barred them from returning. So what do we do about this? We've got to work it out together. Nations are made by citizens. Institutions are made by the people who sit in the chairs of those institutions. So as Kenyans, we must talk to ourselves. Whatever position you are holding, public position, whether a watchman, a messenger, or the CEO of that corporation, you have a role and a duty to play. If you're a police officer, it's not just about the IG or even in the case of Nairobi Bungei, it's about you. You swore to obey the Constitution individually. And you will account individually. There are people who have not been taken to court. It may take 10, 20 years. You will still go to court. Ask Ruto. He was at The Hague. The case may not have proceeded to its conclusion, but if evidence is found, he will find himself. If witnesses are found, apart from the ones who perished, because that Hague case, quite a number of witnesses disappeared without trace. Others, like Yebei, were murdered. But those were not the only witnesses, the other witnesses. So tomorrow, if witnesses are found, he could go back to The Hague. If evidence is found of the killings in Kenya, he and those in his government can end up in court. You as a police officer, irrespective of your rank, and there's so much evidence on camera, worry for yourself. Yeah, because a day for accounting will come. Don't pull the trigger on a Kenyan. We bought those guns for our defense, not to be murdered with them. And Ruto mistakes the sword that he was given when he assumed office. That sword is not for murdering, Bwana Ruto. You ought to be able to understand that sword is not to cut our necks or to shoot us dead. That is a sword for protection. It's a symbol of protection of the nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking of Gen Zs, they've done a lot. They've done amazing work. We've been with them
in a very short time.
In a very short time.
Yes.
Assuming today Kasmuel says he's going to run for president, would mother rally behind him? Would mother say, let me be your running mate, I'm ready? Would you rally behind?
I would compete with him. The Gen Z also have to understand nothing on a silver platter.
Yes.
I would have my platform, he'll have his, and he wins, I support him. Isn't it?
Yes.
That's what we do.
But
so the Gen Z will not tell us that above a certain age we do not want my rights. Read the Constitution properly, find my rights just like yours.
My rights.
The only thing the Constitution says is you want leadership, qualify under Chapter 6. Question me under Chapter 6. There are some young people who are equally rotten. This parliament has both young and old. even cabinet was a mixture of ages. Some are so rotten, okay? Yet they are young. But I have faith in the young and upright, and they are the majority. And I would myself vote for them. So if I want to vie for presidency, I will not stop to vie because a Gen Z has vied. We will compete. Should I win, they support me. Yeah, but I can vouch that the Gen Z are focused and they have it. We have heard them talk. Their focus is not on personalities, it's on issues. They're calling for accountability, for the rule of law, for a state that responds to people's needs. They have sacrificed their all. I can only say they are like the freedom fighters that got us the country. They are not focusing on what they'll get. They're focusing on their future.
On protecting.
And I call the Gen Z wenye nchi. The rest of us are wananchi. Wenye nchi are the Gen Z. They are the productive, most productive people. They are the people starting families. They are the people who need to mind about what is happening because it is their environment that is being polluted. It's their lives that are literally being cut short, not just by the gun, but the lack of services and lack of an environment in which they can thrive. Lack of opportunity. So the wenye nchi, in my view, must be a majority in any leadership forum. Whether it's a government, let them be the majority. And I would encourage them, Gen Z, take your votes and get ready.
Let's go.
Focus on the area you want and sensitize your brothers and sisters. Let them all pick the vote. Let them get ready. We cannot give up on Kenya. William Ruto would want to export as many to other countries. I propose we export him, leave Kenya for ourselves, and work it to serve the majority, not the few. It is him and his cabinet who should be exported.
Then they leave Kenya.
Yeah,
for the
let
rest
them go
of
work
us.
somewhere. Those jobs he has found, let him enjoy those jobs. Yeah, because a country must create jobs for its people, not export people to be slaves in other countries. Last year, 316 people reportedly dead in the Middle East alone. Up to date, I believe there are no bilateral agreements, labor agreements, with the countries he's exporting people to. And we know that because with the Middle East, when our people are sick, are being punished and their passports are withdrawn, and they cannot access their way back, there's no proper concerted government effort of bringing people. Even as we speak, I know there are many Kenyans in detention centers in Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern countries waiting to be brought back by the companies that took them there. A responsible government having a policy of exporting people, and we have governments that export labor like the Philippines, will have an agreement where the government is able to intervene and say, bring my people back, where they are able to have certain clauses
to protect
their people. Our people are being maimed and killed. Their salaries denied. It's slavery in the Middle East for a majority. For those in good jobs, they are doing good work and amazing work. But especially Saudi Arabia, the ill treatment of Kenyans is legendary. Yeah.
Okay. And so you're saying, in short, you are not, this time you're vying for president, you're not going to be anyone's running mate.
No, my middle name is not running mate.
It's Martha Karua.
Yeah, anybody who thinks it's a good name, take it yourself. Yeah.
Not you. Not you.
Yeah.
Why were you okay being Raila's running mate? What was it?
Remember last elections, I wanted county, not national. I actually had begun work in Kirinyaga. my victory having been stolen in 2017, the courts having to failed to give me justice, I was in Kirinyaga. But there was this national call by many people until I agreed to move from Kirinyaga to national. And I was being called to deputize. I wasn't ready for a national run because you got to get ready. And it's not something you get ready at the spur of the moment. So I didn't have a network for that. And I had no difficulty deputizing Raila. We have a lot in common, but we also have had differences in politics. But those are differences you can solve. We've worked in government, and I know he's an easy to work with person.
Yeah.
And I knew we would be able to work. Yeah, not without a difference here and there, but you solve them back room.
Yes.
Yeah, I was ready for tough work.
For tough work. Huh?
Yeah.
And now, you know, Mother, you've said Ruto is the butcher of Kenya.
Yeah.
But there's also a cloud that always hangs over your head, right? When we go back to 2007, there are people who feel like you failed the nation. You being Kibaki's agent, you witnessing the swearing in. What do you say? Do you feel do you regret that
Not
moment?
at all. And it is so nice you have asked the question.
Yes.
In 2007, who butchered people? ODM. And who was the chief butcher? Ruto again. That's why he went to the ICC. The PNU side, the police butchered. They were not under me. I'm not John Michuki. I'm Martha Karua. But people like to wash their dirty hands on the skirts of women. I was Kibaki's agent. I didn't go to KICC with a gun. I went with my eyes and my mouth to be able to say, count those again. Wait for the votes to come. Orengo was Raila's agent. When we stayed overnight to tally, it was Orengo and Karuri for Raila. Martha Karua and George Nyamweya for Kibaki. What's there to regret about that? Wasn't Kibaki entitled to agents? The vote was announced by Kivuito after we'd gone through 210 records overnight. Kivuito announces Kibaki the winner. What was wrong with us, with Kibaki being sworn in? Not by Martha Karua, but by the Chief Justice. And yes, I happily witnessed. And if it happened again, I would witness. I was Kibaki's agent, not to defend his vote only, to defend my vote as well, having voted for him. He was announced winner and he was sworn in same day because his mandate was expiring that day, 30th. The law does not allow a vacuum. So he was sworn in. The ceremony started at 5, went into the evening. The cocktails went into the evening. We did not at that time have a mechanism of transition like we have in this constitution, which even says the date of the election, the actual date, is no longer a secret weapon of a serving president. It also says when and how the swearing in will be. And if there is a case, the period you wait. Nothing wrong at all with Kibaki's swearing. So for the Gen Z who were not of age at that time, that is all. You can go to the records and you'll find nothing else. You will find Martha Karua telling those rowdy people at KICC, this election will be won by the ballot, not by shouting. What's wrong with that? Other tapes, you will find Martha Karua telling the ODM, you are unhappy with the results, go to court. Is that a crime? I have myself, my victory has been stolen. Where have I gone?
The court.
To court. For the gubernatorial and even for 2022. And even when I don't agree with the court, I have sought validation from the East African court, where you will not get the seat, but at least you can be validated that you didn't get justice. In fact, the case for 2022 is still pending. I'm a stickler for the rule of law. And after the 2027 elections, after we formed 2007, after we formed the coalition government, the ODM was insisting that there were some youths arrested, they be released. And we were saying anybody arrested for crime will not be released. Because if we are talking of murder, there is a family whose person was murdered. Let us go through the court. So my hands have no blood on them. You who killed, you who was taken to the ICC for those crimes, why was Martha Karua not taken? It would have been easy. Remember, I had already left government. The way they like to blame women, and especially one Martha Karua, if there was even a whiff of evidence, they would happily have sacrificed me. It's not the guys who would have gone to ICC. So if 207 was repeated,
Yes.
I would do exactly as I did.
Do you believe Kibaki won?
Yes. Because there was a Professor Troop who, from an organization in the US, who tried to rationalize the vote thereafter. And based on the voting basket and based on a cutoff, I don't remember whether the cutoff was 80 or 85%. There is a percentage which is statistically impossible because natural attrition, people moving from the place they are, people for various reasons not being able to vote. So any polling station that returns beyond that number, they would cut it off. Based on that, Kibaki still had a marginal victory. But I want to sit here and admit that after the Kriegler report, which is online and people can Google, the Kriegler report found there was a vote exaggeration on both ODM and PNU sides, and therefore concluded that it was so muddled, there was no point of finding out it was impossible to find who won legitimately. So even when ODM keeps on insisting a stolen election, stolen by who? Who's fooling who here? Because Paul Kabondo had reported 115% votes. When we were tallying overnight, Chepalungu of Isaac Ruto, Raila had been credited with 337,000 votes. It was more than the population of Chepalungu at that time. I raised the issue that evening. The IABC came with an explanation that it was a typographical error where 3 was added and that the actual vote was 37,000. So a whooping 300,000 had to be removed. Now, with facts like those, and I remember having an exchange in Parliament, not a bad one, with Isaac Ruto. When he got annoyed with ODM, he said from on the floor of the House that you stole the election and Martha Karua is my witness. His witness because I discovered the Chepalungu thing in the evening. So they know as much as I do that they exaggerated the vote. So who stole from whom? The hurry to blame Martha Karua is to mask what actually happened. I have no regrets. Yeah, and the last thing I'll say of this is that, do you think that if Raila genuinely believed I helped steal his election, in 2007 he would have chosen me his running mate? Just ask yourself that. Yeah.
People now can answer themselves.
Yeah.
But some people feel Kibaki is the best president Kenya will ever have, right? And his coalition government...
Not will ever, has ever. Because the future must remain open and blessed. Yeah, we must do better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you believe he was the best
He
president?
did very well. He had his human flaws like everyone. You remember that I even resigned from his cabinet, the coalition government cabinet, 1 year into the government. But he did wonders for this country. And we miss his style of leadership.
You miss him?
I think Kenya misses him, yeah, because it's not a personal thing. Kenya misses his style of leadership. And yes, we recognize that he brought the country to growth from a dead economy to a booming economy. And during his era, that booming economy was felt in the pockets of many all over the country, that in small trading centers you could see life beginning to sprout. Every Kenyan child went to school, and those who didn't, the chiefs were looking for them to come to school. He introduced support for secondary education, which Uhuru increased the money, and which now William Ruto is trying to uproot. Yet he was part of a government that was saying 100% turnover rate to secondary schools. So I really don't know what's in his head and who he is serving, whether foreign masters or us. Yeah.
Okay, we've seen you being really outspoken when it comes to Moi, Kibaki, Ruto. What do you feel about Uhuru?
He did well, but together with Ruto, they also had quite a number of misses. And I used to speak during Uhuru's era, and I gave his government a D+ at one time, and at another time a D-. And I was totally opposed to BBI.
Yes.
Yeah. And I called Raila a Democrat up to that stage, although now he's destroying democracy. Because even when he chose me as a running mate, he knew that even on the BBI, we had differed. Yeah. And in fact, in his speech when naming me as running mate, he said I would be his Minister of Justice and I would coordinate constitutional reforms, implying some of the things BBI.
Yes.
And in my answer, I also was quite upfront and I said yes, in accordance with the law.
The law.
Yeah.
In accordance.
With the law, as the court had said, because I was opposed to some things in BBI which did not satisfy the procedure of amendments within the law. So it was incumbent on me to say there and then that yes, I will spearhead in accordance with the law.
The law.
So that people don't wonder whether now that I have come in, I have now accepted whatever was an illegality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I was told to ask you is, where is the money in politics, right?
Yeah.
Because we just saw the nominated CAs saying how much they have, their net worth.
Appreciating.
First, what's your net worth?
My net worth, I really would not quite know, but I can tell you the items I own, the house I live in Roslyn. I have a house on my father's land, up country, and I have a piece of land in Tigoni.
Yes.
I had declared these things during my presidential run in 2013. I have not acquired anything. I've actually lost some because I have sold a plot hived out of my land in Tigoni. So I am not worth any more than I was worth. I still had 2 cars then, and I still have 2 cars, although I've changed. And so I actually have 1 car.
Yes.
Yeah, because one doesn't belong to me. I've just remembered. Yeah, I have 1 car. But it's the same things I had in 2013. I'm not a business person. So I'm not doing any business that can generate.
Okay.
Maybe if I sold the land in Tigoni and put into business, I could make money.
All right.
But somehow my mind is not attuned
To
business.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not practicing law. I have a practicing certificate.
But you're
once
not.
in a while, I'll do a public interest case, like I did the Huduma number, leading the team on behalf of Kenya Human Rights Commission.
Yeah.
I will appear for someone pro bono, you know, but and once in a while I'll be asked to lead. Like during COVID, I led several cases on family and civil law, but minimal. Yeah,
Minimal.
Yeah.
So when someone like Joho is saying his net worth is around circa 2 billion thereabout,
I think
you think so they are
first
good
question-
business people.
The first question one would want is to know what was his net worth as he entered politics. Okay? In 2007, I
207.
think it's about 207. What was his net worth? What business? Those are the questions now those in parliament can answer. And it's not just about Joho, it's about anybody.
Yeah.
So you are able to see what business can generate that.
But in short, they have good businesses. They operate good
I
businesses.
do not know.
because-
I'm not their spokesperson.
Yes.
You might find a person's worth has appreciated, and their sole business is being a leader, where you are near people's money, then we need to question such wealth. Yeah, I would even want William Ruto to tell us how Amaco made money that has made him, because his first known business was Amaco and the chicken selling, for him to be about one of the notable richest in Africa. Yeah, if your main business have been public position, we need to search.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have made politics a dishonest business in Kenya, where you enter to freeze the people. And I'm not naming any one single person, I'm saying generally. You'll even find members of parliament. You do not know their source of wealth, but someone just becomes exponentially wealthy. And it's including MCAs. And you'll find that their main business is just being in leadership. That's not the way. There's something wrong. No wonder the state has changed from a state that serves the majority to an exploitative state, almost like the colonial regime that serves the ruling elite. So that you find one has been a governor one term, their riches have multiplied 1,000-fold. You find a person has been a CS, there's been a scandal in their ministry, the result, they are so rich. Lakini mweupe kama pamba. Wa Kenya. It is you who is encouraging this behavior. Because unajua mtu mismanage your resources and you give them leadership. Actually, I'm meeting people who are saying they were lied to by the KK regime. And I told a person who told me that,
Yes.
You lied to yourself. They never lied to you. Because you knew these people. If it is President Ruto, they knew he was associated with so many scandals. He never stood anywhere to say that he has changed and will never be associated with anything corrupt. When he was a minister for agriculture, he had a case where he had taken money, purportedly selling land to the Kenya pipeline. He promoted the witnesses, others facilitated to go out of the country. The case was lost. When you know someone's character to that extent and you give them position, what do you expect? And I'm just giving an example. There are so many people in parliament, both in the local, in the county assemblies and in national, who have integrity issues. We reward them. Last elections, people did not want to hear about integrity. In fact, people are saying, wote ni wezi, afadhali huyu anatuletea.
Anyway, tunajua.
Yeah. Can you say that today?
No.
Our conscience has been reawakened by Gen Z. The Gen Z brought a subject we politicians were fearing to bring about the church. Because corruption must end in church. And you, my church ministers, stop inviting us to be guests of honor. I don't have a factory for money. So when you put pressure on individuals, that pressure leads them to corruption. When you, the voter, puts pressure on me to give you money, those who will not fundraise will steal to get that money. Let us know that a politician should not give you money. In fact, it's you who should contribute to my campaign. Because I'm not going there to enrich myself. I'm going there to serve you. We need to have a conversation with ourselves about integrity, corruption, and about money. If we don't have a serious conversation on those two, you will end up electing same people again.
Have you ever been in a scandal apart from the BAT one? Have you
The
ever been
BAT
involved
is
in
not a scandal. Let us talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
It was alleged that money contributed to my campaign was from BAT/. But it was brought by an individual to my secretariat, not to my hands. You know, when you open up fundraising, anybody can raise.
Can raise.
Yeah.
They can contribute.
And it was not brought as much money. It was 2 donations of $1 million and $1 million. I met the donor much later, and he said it was his money. Who am I to doubt? $1 million shillings is not much to a presidential campaign. So to tell me that dirty money was given, and I'm being told much after the campaign, that is not a scandal. Get it out of your head. I actually held a press conference and told the DPP that time, investigate. If you find any wrongdoing on my part, take me to court. I was a civilian. I was not even a member of parliament. This was 2014, 2015. I bared myself to be taken to court. So what scandal? Yeah? It's just like alleging that Martha Karua in 2007. I didn't kill. You killed. Yeah?
Period.
Yeah. I didn't displace people. You did. Yeah.
Let's see. What does mother, away from politics, what does mother love doing?
Dancing.
Of course.
Socializing. I play a little bit of golf. I swim. All those things. I'm just a human being just like the other. And even just staying idle with my grandchildren around. Yeah.
And, you know, looking nice. Looking nice.
I don't know about looking nice. I dress to please myself.
You don't dress for anybody?
No, really? To please myself.
You don't dress for anybody?
No.
You don't want to turn
to
heads?
Please my eyes. Yeah, what I like.
Good.
Yeah, because really, you must love yourself first. The golden rule, love yourself. And it is in God's commandment. Love thy neighbor
as you love thyself.
If you have no self-love, you cannot love anybody else. Yeah. So it begins where you are.
Yes.
Love yourself just as you are, just the way God made you. Yeah.
And the rest will follow.
The rest will come.
You know, I had a good friend here, Pinky Gelani, and we were talking about, she's in her 40s.
Yeah.
And she was saying how she does not like people telling her, oh my God, I didn't think you were 40 because you look like you are 20. And she was talking to us about embracing aging, right?
Yeah.
The more years we get to experience, the happier we should be as women. What do you think?
That's me. I announce my age every year. Next month, I'm going to be 67.
In September.
But I'm not yet. I'm 66. Politically speaking, very young. Yeah. Yeah.
People don't get to experience this side of you more often. They think, you know, you are very hardcore, but they don't get to see.
I'm hardcore for hardcore issues.
Yes.
There's nothing to laugh,
smile about.
About corruption, about spilling the blood
of innocent souls.
Of innocent youth and our people. Because even those who are not youth deserve to live. There's nothing funny about mismanaging the economy, causing deaths of people, causing suffering. You get calls. I was talking with a young man from Bungoma whose mother is in hospital. Cancer. He's in a public facility. Being asked to pay money they don't have. You are calling a governor, asking him, can you help these people? Can you waive? They promise and they disappear. And that is the story all over the country. And this is a young man I haven't met. We met on Twitter. Yeah. But you go out to try and... People should not have to beg for help. Young people should not have to see their parents waste away. You are not employed. You can't help. You have a sick parent.
You can't.
And there is no help. You can imagine that desperation. A mother, or a father for that matter, any parent should never have to sit to watch their children sleep hungry, crying, and without food, and without knowing where the next meal is coming from. Nobody should have to worry because your house was locked by the landlord for rent. You are unemployed and you have nowhere. Article 43 says, we should be giving social support to such people. And that way, whoever is in power would know that you have to create jobs to avoid finishing all the taxes in giving social support. Social support is not only for the aged. It's for any Kenyan without help a desperate Kenyan. Nobody should sleep hungry, nobody should sleep out, nobody should lack the basic services. It is
We shouldn't even be talking about it, actually.
It's more than the 2010 Constitution. We are almost going to 15 years since we passed the Constitution. Why have we not prioritized this? Why should we have a big travel budget for Parliament, for the CSs, for senior staff of ministries? If you put the travel budget together, it alone could fund education. If you put all the monies thrown everywhere, money for bursary of county, bursary of MP, bursary of ministry, bursary of state house. I hear these days there's a state house bursary. If you put all those together, pump it into education and have transparency, because all these funds are not used transparently.
Yeah. Do you think we are overrepresented? Eric Omondi was saying we need to go for a referendum. We need to cut out the number of people representing us, MCAs, women reps. Do you think we have unnecessary positions?
You know, people talk of women reps. It is again being gender blind. Are the MPs performing better than the women reps? Especially the CDF. Who are the majority in the MP seats, the 290 seats? It's men. So why aren't we scraping the 290 first before you come for the 47? I agree we need to rationalize, but I do not find it funny that people pick on the women rep. When we are liberating a country, because the Gen Z fight was for liberation, if we may go back to the French Revolution, where the issues of liberation were first cast, it's three things: liberty, equality, fraternity. Fraternity is brotherhood or community, if you like. If it is liberty, it's for absolutely everyone. If it is equality, it's for absolutely everyone, irrespective of gender or social standing. Therefore, if it is representation, do not start silos of saying women. Let's talk of rationalizing the entire representation. And if we are talking of fraternity, that's where the idea of Article 43. Community means you cannot let your brother sleep hungry when you are wasting food in your house. That's how we do our resources to ensure everybody has basic needs. So for all liberators in Kenya, Gen Z and all ages, these days Gen Z is becoming Generation Zote.
Yes.
Let us have in mind, let us not start wars within the liberation movement. Don't just point at the women's seat, because then you are missing on gender inclusion. But I do agree we need to rationalize. How would I rationalize it? The Constitution clearly says that the election method, the electoral system we adopt, should respond to the values of the Constitution, which includes inclusion, integrity, and all that.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, the system that you bring inclusion and integrity is abandoning first past the post and embracing proportional representation. To break it down, what does this mean? It means we stop electing people. Let Martha Karua not be on the ballot or Eric Omondi. It will be NAC Kenya, it will be ODM, it will be KK. You elect parties. And those parties, ahead of the elections, provide a list that in Kirinyaga, for governor, our number 1 is Martha. If it's NAC Kenya, number 2 is Gashoki. Number 3 is another person. If it is for MP in Gishogo, the same thing. If it's for MCA, the same thing. Now, what happens is that if you have PR system, then parties, the electoral law can decree that parties will alternate men and women. It's called the zebra list. And will also, every so many paces, put a person with disability. If it's 5%, you may wish to put if you want 4 people with disability, let's say in Kirinyaga, you will make sure that every number X is a person with disability. If it is a minority, you will make sure. If it is youth, you will make sure that diversity is in your list. It is the easiest. When individuals are not being elected, it means they are not under pressure to give money personally. So you'll have killed corruption, because we are now centering on the parties and their policies, and you will have brought inclusivity, and you lessen the numbers, because there will be no more nominated. Because, for instance, Kirinyaga with 4 seats will be obliged to give a list. Each party will be obliged to give a list that has the first 4 names as 2 women and 2 men. If a constituency has 9 seats, no gender shall pass 4. No, 5. Because the one with more will have 5. The one with less will have 4. You see, already you are almost at gender parity. And you can do the other inclusions within it. There was also another idea by Ekuru Aukot, which should not be forgotten completely, where he had said we rationalize the system. Instead of 290 constituencies, we use counties as constituencies. So every county gets 2 members of parliament, a woman and a man. That's 94. In that method, I would add, let the constituencies be the
count.
No, the wards. You know, right now we have 1,400. Call it 500 because it's 1450 wards.
Yes.
Instead, let's make the constituencies 290 the wards. And then each constituency brings 2, male and female. Then for the other diversity, you can have a very small percentage of representation. Now those can be nominated. Well, how many total number of MCAs would we get? 290 times 2.
580.
580. Even if you were to add another 2 or 300 to bring the other diversity, they would not pass 800. You see? So you'll have lessened the population of parliament by 294. And you can also say Senate also elects the same way. 2 people, male and female. So Senate and Parliament will each have 94. That now becomes 188. From 416 to 188. The MCAs, when you add nomination, they become 2,500. So even if we were to make them, we cap at 800. Can you see the reduction?
A lot.
So PR system would help us. And then we can have man, woman. You see? And if you don't want PR, let's have first past the post, but you must nominate man, woman. But PR is the one that commends itself. And I want people to know that South Africa, ANC has been the dominant party. They don't have gender quotas. But ANC as a party has adopted the zebra list. And it almost brought South Africa alone to gender parity. Now that they are going down, other parties will have to step up. But a single party, just because of being focused.
So it's doable.
And I want people to know, they say women want a favor. No, it's men who's been getting a favor all through. The dominant parties, let me give recent examples. There was Jubilee in Mount Kenya, and there was ODM on the other side, and there was maybe Wiper in Ukambani. I'll give only those 3. Anybody nominated by Wiper in Ukambani has 95% chances of coming in. Same with ODM with Jubilee. Who are the majority who get those seats? Men. Any woman named in those areas comes through. So if the parties practice what they preach, and they gave women the same opportunity as men, 50-50, we would need no nomination, by the way. So we pay lip service. Instead of even pushing the constitutional amendment on top up, why don't we overhaul the system and go to PR? But Kenyans, let's not have silos. If you are liberating, liberate absolutely everybody. Don't keep saying women sit. I can count for you 5 out of the 47 women who are stellar performers in that parliament. Out of the 290 seats, majority of whom are men, I may not give you 20 men who are stellar performers. On a percentage, you will see both are limping. The sister and the brother are both limping. Why are you picking on the sister? Are they your Martha Karua in relation to 207? Spare us.
Stop it.
Liberate everybody. Liberate the youth, liberate women, liberate people with disabilities, liberate absolutely every Kenyan. Thank you.
Liberate our nation.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I think this has been a very beautiful conversation. If you ask
I think
me.
so.
You think so?
I think so.
Well, before I let you go, what would you say has been the most regrettable part of your journey in politics?
Maybe if I could retrace their things you could do differently.
Yeah.
Maybe if I begin with 207, even as I restate that I would do the same, I ought to always begin by saying sorry for those who lost their relatives. Because I did not kill, but nevertheless, I should show empathy to those who lost their relatives and were displaced. Because collectively, as the political class, we bear responsibility. It doesn't matter that you didn't do it. That is the most regrettable. And I think that in government, in Mwai Kibaki's government after the referendum, we tried, as Minister of Justice, I had a multi-sectoral committee. I also had a committee of eminent persons, which made certain recommendations, including finalizing the constitution. And we tried to put up a team to finalize and were not able. One regrets that we were not able. We could see that tension was building. And you know, there was that vibe of 41 against 1 just before the elections. I don't think we did everything we could collectively. Yeah, we ought to have done more. Again, we went to elections with a police commissioner who was not on talking terms with the DCI, you know, Kamau and Ali. I didn't know that myself then. I came to know after the elections. We ought to have been able to know that that cannot go on that way. And the security lapse that occurred to even allow the massacre and all that, the disorganization in curbing security and using unorthodox means, because that's what got PNU to ICC, because there are some people who may have employed unorthodox means. When you are in power, you have to only employ rule of law, nothing else. And that's what we are telling William Ruto he has not employed. So although I may not have been in charge of security, there's collective responsibility. Those are regrets. That's the most regrettable part, yeah.
Highlight? What has that one?
The highlight.
Yes.
My being able to roll out the water sector reforms as Minister of Water. My being a team leader in the Ministry of Justice to make the Constitution of Kenya Review Act 2008, which was self-propelling and facilitated bringing of the 2010 Constitution. Those were definitely the greatest highlights. There may be others, but those were the greatest. Yeah.
Good job, honestly, on especially what you did during, you know, the water period. You were very upset when they got you out of that docket. Initially,
but when I later thought about it, I said I'll embrace
change
water and get to know everything about it. And I was fine.
You are fine. Thank you so much for coming. To anyone that is watching and maybe they would love to hear that parting shot from you, how would it look like, and also how can they connect with you?
Kenya is waiting for you and me to make a nation out of it, to reinstate the republic as it's envisaged in the Constitution, to take back our country from those who are tearing it apart. Kenya waits for you and me, and nobody else will save us from this. We are drowning. We better get our act together. To get in touch with me,
Yes.
try at NAK Kenya Party. We are on Twitter. You can also message me directly. I've received so many messages since the Gen Z demonstrations,
Yes.
and I've been replying to them one by one.
You're very active
So
on
you
X.
also can get me
Yes.
on Twitter. You can DM
Yes.
and state what you want. I will accept, and I will also be able to get in touch. Yeah, we are reaching out.
Will you go TikTok?
Tuko TikTok, lakini I'm helped in some of the platforms. The one that I deal with personally,
Yes.
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah, but I get help on TikTok.
Yes.
But very soon it's going to be me, and I get help on Facebook.
Good.
Yeah.
Good on you. Go on. May you conquer. That's what we tell people on this show.
We are here to conquer.
We are here to conquer with no fear.
Yeah.
May you conquer. And
Yeah.
also, I hope we can continue having these conversations. Let me let you go. I hope
Asante
you've enjoyed
sana.
your time here
I have.
LNN.
I have.
And also to you guys at home, you know what I always ask you to help do is tell me on the comment section what has been your take home. We said 2024 is the year we rebuild everything and shares. You know, Kenya is, I hope you guys, when you travel out of Kenya, you get to see how beautiful of a country we have here. Kenya is beautiful. Kenya is our business, and we have to take care of it. It's our baby, and we have to take care of it. Thank you so much to my incredible team who gets to put this work together. You know, I've always said you get to see me in front of the camera, but it takes an entire village to put this together. Shukran sana. Edwin, unataka kusalimia watu? Kuja usalimie watu. Say hello. Make sure we can't see you. No, you can see it as we close. Yeah, that's our producer Edwin for making sure we had a good show. You enjoyed it?
I loved it.
Yeah, this was amazing. Thank you for putting it together, and also to you guys for watching. How about we catch you tomorrow either at 10 a.m. or
At 7.
good. Bye bye.